What's up, Alex?
Hey, not much, not much. Excited to be here.
Yeah?
Yeah, super
What have you been
excited.
up to?
Man, well, trying to keep up, stay alive with this pandemic, that is going on. Oops, it's kind of not great, but,
Yeah?
thankful that I'm actually working, that we have a job,
Mm-hmm.
that I get able to get out of the house because
I
otherwise
know. Jesus.
I would, go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
Same old, man. Working, trying to, make things happen during crazy situations. So that's how business goes sometimes. But, I wanted to start off with today's podcast as an introduction to the world and introduce ourselves to whoever is listening to the podcast. I think we will bring some pretty cool insights, really, to the entrepreneurship world. And so I'll introduce myself, and then you can go after. Hi world. My name is Odi De La Paz. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Sensitech Inc. We are a local startup company in Houston, Texas, focusing on concrete monitoring technologies in verticals of construction and oil and gas. So yeah, Alex, introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone that is listening up there. Alex Santander here. Like Odi mentioned, I'm part of the Sensitech team, and I couldn't be more excited and proud to be part of this amazing team, the family.
Yeah,
Uh, I started this journey a year ago, actually. I joined Sensitech.
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
year already.
a year, and time flies. Yeah. So prior Sensitech, I was working full time as a lead estimator for a construction company. So when I learned about Sensitech, it was a no-brainer.
Hmm.
It was right on my alley, something that I definitely wanted to do, and excited to be here. Thank you.
Cool, man. Awesome. I also wanted to discuss a little bit about why are we in headphones and a mic in front of us and the camera recording, and why in the
And the
heck
beer.
do we do this? Don't say no. Don't say that. Yeah, we might get in trouble. No, but in all seriousness, networking, I would say, but also like getting to know individuals uh, in the same ballpark where we are in is super important. And learning from everybody's ideas or opinions or I guess businesses that they're trying to start is super important. So one of the main motivations that I guess I wanted to start this podcast during a time of a crazy situation with COVID and riots and natural disasters that are occurring in the world. I think looking at the positive aspect of like giving information is super important. Um, and so one of the main things is how can my experiences that I've been through benefit either future entrepreneurs that are coming or benefit entrepreneurs that are actually in the same struggle that I am in, right? And bounce ideas off, bounce struggles off, and, be able to help each other, really. So at the end of the day, our goal is to create something out of nothing, right? And how do we get there is the key to success, really.
Mhm.
And we can't do it alone. We gotta do it with other people to support us, regardless of the situation. Because we're in a crazy pandemic, in some cases it can affect you financially or mentally, of course. But at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, I think positivity, patience, and persistence is key to getting out of this alive, man. I really think so.
I agree 100% with you. When you mentioned that you a week ago, right? When you mentioned that you wanted to do the podcast,
Yeah.
I honestly thought that it was a great idea. But when you mentioned that you wanted to do something different, something that it was not gonna be just a regular podcast, when you go and just like talk about your success and
No.
all that. It clicked immediately because yeah, I know where you when you say like we don't build these alone, right? And talking about the failures and the things that you go through when you start a business, I think is I mean it's a benefit that can be spread right to
Yeah,
everybody.
for sure.
And because a lot of people talks about their gains and all the good things that is happening, but not a lot of people talk about the bad things that happens, right? Or how
Yeah.
did they get there, or how do they achieve the status quote that where they are, and things like that. So I stand behind your your idea. I think it's great.
No, I think like from what I've done as far as my research, and maybe I haven't dug too deep, but I think the more information that's out there, the better. At the end of the day, because you look at future entrepreneurs and the stage where we are now, from the stage that we were back then when we first started the company, totally different. Like the idea was different, everything was different. The mentality, my mentality, everything was different. And the growth that we had so far, it's not drastic growth, but it's growth. I mean, you take it what it is. So somewhere within that growth stage, someone is going through the same thing. And the podcast that we're having, we don't even have a name for it yet, right? I just wanted to put content out there. Doesn't matter who listens, but to take something that's real and is not BSing, bullshitting around the bush. Really, it's real. It's real stuff. It's real life experiences that, my age or your age or whoever is listening to this can benefit from regardless, because at the end of the day, it's about growing and living life. So this podcast, I wanted to make it general, not be able to, talk about your generic things. Like, I wanted to be about your life. Tell me about your life. Tell me about what struggles you go through, mentally, physically, whatever. I want to be able to share your story around the world and have somebody that's probably in the same shoes hear you out. And how'd you get out of that? And how'd you make that work? And who'd you go to? What resources you used? And that's super important, I think. And from my research, I haven't seen nobody do something like that. And at the end of the day, I want to have people on this podcast that are, in most cases, the same shoes that I am in. Going through the struggles, not necessarily, getting funding or being able to close a $200 million round. At the end of the day, you start a business with your own money and take it from there, or find a way to bring people on that can support you from day one and take it from there. And so that's, I think, for me, the most important thing about the podcast.
Definitely, I agree with you. I feel like a lot of people, will find these a lot of benefit on this. Like you say, we have a lot of podcasts, we have a lot of things up there, but those things is I feel like they're in some way they are customized, right, to some audience, to some listeners, but there is nothing real. So a podcast where you can go and just full disclosure, talk about whatever you want to talk about, right? Whatever you feel comfortable, like you mentioned, your mental health, you whatever you want to talk about it, whatever, how the struggles that you go, the daily struggles that you go. And
Agreed.
definitely, I love the idea.
Being vulnerable.
Yeah, definitely. Really 101,
One-on-one, with with a beer or whatever it might be, just chatting is super important.